Hi everyone, we're going to be putting together the This Life Simple Page Kit number 12. And unfortunately these sold out, but if you were lucky enough to get one, we can put this together But Kari also is going to do it digitally and also show us how to do it if we just want to use other papers or whatnot. So anyway, we have the two backgrounds, which are really pretty. This big square tilted in the center, and then these triangles. And then here's our piece of paper that we're going to cut apart. The measurements on the back. So we're going to start out cutting off these 1-inch strips. And they're brown, so I think I might flip this over so I get it on the right area. So we're going to cut at 1 inch. We're going to cut the next one at 1 inch. Line it right up here. You can see that. Move up a little. There we go. All right, and I'm going to try and get right in between the brown and red there. There we go. Now let's flip over and see what the next cut is. All right, we have the 3 and the 4. I think I'm gonna do the next one. I won't flip it over so I don't confuse you, but I'm gonna cut over here. I'm cutting it in a little bit different order just because it makes sense to do it that way. So we're cutting, those were 4 inches. So these are 4 by 4 inch squares that are red. And we can just go ahead and cut these on the lines because they're 4 by 4s. So these 3 pieces are 4 by 4s. Now we're going to turn this last piece in this direction and cut it here.
I would flip it over, take a look.
Flip it over?
Because I think
yes.
you've got a line there. Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
We've learned that sometimes when you're in between 2 colors, it's better to cut on the color side up so you can see that really well.
Yeah, and I got a little teeny bit of the brown on here, so I'm just going to trim that off and get rid of that. And so now we have these little flags that we're going to make, so we're going to cut it here, but I'm going to do it on this side so we can see the color. Let's do the measurements. So this piece is another one of the 4 by 4 squares. So that leaves these at 2 inches. And this one is 1.5. So the pink is 1.5. So I'm going to cut it this way. And what does that leave? The brown will be 2.5. So the brown is 2.5 and the pink is 1.5. There, yeah. So when we cut it on that side, we can see it a little bit better. You can see a little teeny bit of brown on there. So I'll go ahead and shade that little teeny bit.
Sometimes it's really hard to get that last little bit off.
And also, you know, your photo trimmer can trim that up probably a little more evenly. I'm just gonna, since this is so small, I'm gonna do that last little bit there. Okay.
Benefits of a guillotine trimmer.
Yeah. And then here we're going to just cut that little flag out. So we're just going to cut that right on the line. Nice and easy. So that's that little flag, the brown one, and then here's the pink one. It's nice to have it all marked for us, isn't it? There we go. Move everything here. So I think on this side we put the brown down first, and on this side it seems to go, oh yep, we do it, we put them both down first. Move all this over. Go ahead and use my repo here.
It's interesting to me as we go through the year how the papers and how they've designed the base papers has gotten more embellished and fancier instead of all tonals, which is the way we started the year. We've now got some patterns coming in that we didn't have earlier in the year.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if they design them all at once, design them for the whole year to
I don't know.
Yeah, not sure. All right, so this one is going right across the middle at the 6-inch mark. That little strip there. So if you use your 13-inch mat and line that up, so line your paper up and then just put it right at the 6. It lines up nicely right across the middle. Okay, and then we have this guy goes that way and makes a photo mat area.
And I love the fact that with this, while they intended for you to put 2 photos there, you could always put one bigger one because you haven't cut apart the photo mat.
Right. All right, so these we just get all centered. Let's see, anything? Oh, they have the sticker on underneath, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my sticker on. They got these cute candy stickers.
Oh, those are cute.
So go ahead and put that on. Ooh, right at the 6, right down the middle. Looks cute on the brown. I do love all the stickers that they made to go along with all of these. I just feel like there's usually a couple different themes. So if you're not using the main theme or whatever, there's always something else you can do with them. There we go. Down the middle. All right, this guy's right on the top, I think. Yep, centered right in the middle. Let's see. Everything up here. That look pretty good. Or we could always do this. I feel like mine needs to be a little higher. Just curious. I did not read off the measurement. Is it 5 by 7? No. It's 6.
6 by 8.
By 8?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it needs to be 2 inches in, right, from each side.
All right. So we lay that on there. 2 inches, and then would I be 3 inches down?
You look like you're good.
Try that. And then 3 inches there. Yep. Oops. Did I move it? Did. Get it just right.
Okay, this
There.
is
Does that look good?
very precise for
Ooh,
this
precise
page.
for me. Usually I just wing it, but
That's right. I was
All
going
right.
to say, this is not your typical
well, it's very
geometric,
symmetrical here,
isn't
right?
it?
Geometric,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
word. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and put our little banners here. I like the colors. It's different.
Yeah.
Christmas, right? It was kind of funny that one year they came out with sugar plum and it was like purples and pinks for Christmas. And it was so funny because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to use this. And it just happened to be that I gave my kids onesies, no, those fluffy blanket things, they were called. But anyway, they happened to be the color of sugar plum. It was amazing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. I didn't do it on, Anyway. But the sugar plum, when I put it together, I really loved it, which was surprising. All right, so this one, oh my, am I going to do the same thing? I got to measure again. Ugh. Measuring is not, I feel like we don't necessarily need to measure on this one. What did you think? Does that look pretty good?
I think that looks good.
Oh, wait. I see. This is a little smaller over here. I eyeball it. This is, I've seen Pam Wynn put things together, and she's always using her, this zero centering ruler. So So let's see, is it an inch and 3/4 or is it 2? All right, this side, let's see, that's 2 inches. I don't think that's 2 inches. Let's move it over a smidge. No, because that's, I'm not going to have anything in the middle. So I got to be 1 3/4 on both sides, right? Oh, this being symmetrical is not my forte. All right, so we got the 1 3/4 going there. And they had it just overlapping the brown just a smidge, so do that. And then let's try it on this side. What happens if I go 1 3/4? Does it work out? Oh, it does. How nice. And am I off screen? Yep. So same thing on this side. We do the 1 3/4. And then there. There. That looks pretty good.
Or you could decide you're just going to put them down and have them be close, right?
Yep, you don't have to measure. I feel like I should be pretty straight if I'm doing this. Oh. This one's just going to line up with this other one. There we go.
All right. And then they put some embellishment clusters.
Ooh.
Yeah, you can just show what those kind of look like. Yeah, nice.
Oh, cute.
So there's some on the left page and some on the right page. Can you show us the stickers one more time?
Yeah, there's a lot. So we have the Merry Christmas, December Delights, Season's Greetings, Trimming the Tree, Decorating, Bundled Up, Cookie Time, Holly Jolly. So I feel like there's lots of different things that we could use this for.
Oh, that's really nice.
So it's really fun. So here's some trees to go with trimming the tree. So I'm not going to put any on because I don't know what I'm going to use this for. Oh, that's fun.
Great. I think it's going to be a really versatile layout for everybody who was fortunate enough to get the paper copy.
Yes. Now, can you purchase the bundles or did they sell out?
The bundles, at least as of right now, are still available as of the day we recorded this, but we're recording it a little earlier because we're not going to be meeting in person. So, but even if you didn't get it, I'm going to share my screen and flip things around here. And I'm going to share the instructions that I created for doing this. If you have your own paper, which is actually a fairly easy layout to do. So if you want to grab these instructions, you can go over to our Consistently Creative Croppers Facebook group, and the PDF will be available there. And I'm also going to do it digitally right now, but I have the instructions for what the cut apart was like. So I know Cheryl was giving those dimensions as she went through, but if you didn't grab those while she was going through it fairly quickly, just cutting it, they're all here. And then I also have the dimensions for the base papers. There was basically a 1-inch frame around the entire page, a 10 by 10 square that was centered in that, and then there was an 8 by 8 square that was rotated 45 degrees. So that was the base papers. And here's the information for the final layout. So as I always put these together like this, unfortunately, the fact that we had these 4 squares that were assembled on the page, I tried to draw all the arrows so you'd have the right dimensions as far as everything was where it was and what it is and what size your photos are. So they have it designed for 6 photos, 2 3.5 by 5.5 and 4 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm gonna jump over and start working on creating this digitally using the Artisan software. So the first thing that I always do is I take a look at the 2 pages and see, is one a mirror image of the other, or is there a lot that I can do just doing one page and then duplicating it? And for the most part, a lot of this whole design is duplicated on the both pages. So I'm going to go ahead and start with just designing my left page, and then I can go ahead and duplicate it and make it my right page. So here is my Artisan screen, and I'm gonna switch this over. The nice thing about working with 2 screens is you can kind of have one up as you're doing the other. So for that page that we had the 1-inch frame around the entire page, I am going to just create a square that's the same size as my entire page, because in the end, once I cover it up, I don't need to worry about whether it was just a frame or another little piece. And it was kind of this light. Is this the right color? It seems, nope, it was this one. So I'm going to go ahead and create that and then arrange it on the page and center it. And then there was a pink 10 by 10 frame. So I'm going to insert another rectangle that's 10 by 10. And it was this in their sample was the plaid. But since I don't know what I'm going to ultimately use this for, I'm going to just leave it pink for right now, just to get the basic design. And then they had the green square that was 8 by 8, and it was rotated. So it was rotated on an angle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one. So that's a rectangle. It's 8 by 8. And oh, I realize I haven't been showing that on that screen. So I'm going to pick this green. And here I can actually rotate it before I create it. So I'm going to just set the angle to 45 degrees. And then you can see I've already got that rotated shape. And again, I'm going to go to the home remit and align it and center it on the page. And that's the basis of my background. But now some of the paper pieces that were cut out, I'm going to go ahead and just create them on this page because I'm going to need them on the other. So one of those pieces was that brown 1-inch strip that Cheryl had cut. So this one is going to actually be 12 by 1. And it was that darker chocolate brown kind of color. And again, I can actually just center it on the page and I don't have to worry about measuring it with a ruler, which is very nice. And then I think that is it. So just taking a quick look at my layout, there's nothing else that is identical between the 2 pages. I'm now going to make these, I have to do these red photo mats and then put the photos on. And then I've got these 2 flags that I'm going to put on here. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this page. So I'm going to save it. And you can see in my page panel over here, I can have a couple of options when I click that drop down arrow, but I can duplicate the page. So I'm just going to duplicate it. So now I've got 2 that are identical. So now I want to go ahead and start doing those photo mats. I'm on the left page and this was the 8 by 6 red square was next. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So it was red. It was 8 by, not 6 by 8. I even said the words and I typed them in backwards. So, all right. And again, this is centered on the page. This has got to be the favorite button here on some days. So now I can add my photo mats or my photos frames. So these were 3.5 by 5.5. Sometimes my key panel doesn't type the way I want it to. Okay. And I need 2 of these. So I'm going to just go and copy and paste it and put them in here. And if I want to make certain that it's all perfectly centered, I can group the 2 photo mats together. And then when I select both shapes, I can center both of them together on the horizontal point and the vertical point, and that will kind of make certain that the two images together are centered on that. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to the right page and do the 4 photo mats over there because that's fairly fast. So these were 4x4. And I'm also going to do a photo frame, and those were 3.5 by 3.5. And I'm going to center them again by selecting both of them and then going to the 2nd and the 5th. Now, since I want ultimately 4 of these, I am going to go ahead and take advantage of the grouping. So I'm going to group them as if they're one element, and then I'm going to copy and paste them, and I'm going to make 4 of them. And then I can just kind of spread them out, and I can play around with the alignment and do what I want with them. But I think though that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to select all 4. Again, I'm going to group them and then center them on my page and then ungroup them. So sometimes grouping them just temporarily allows you to get them kind of centered exactly the way you want, and then you can ungroup them and navigate the way you want. So the last thing I have are those 2 little flags. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start again. I'm going to start with a rectangle because that is always, I think, a good place to start. So it was 2 by 2.5, and the one was a chocolate brown color. And then the other one was a darker pink color. So, and that one was 2 by 1.5. And I'm going to go ahead and make that this darker pink. So what I like to do is basically do the same thing that Cheryl did, is I go ahead and cut out the flag at the on this piece. So what I'm going to do is essentially take the scissors and I'm going to cut out a triangle. And what I like to do is I'll blow this up and enlarge it so you can see it. So I like to go to the cut ribbon and cutting out a shape. It says you have to flatten it. So if you use this triangle, it works out really nicely. So I want this to be a 2-inch high, and I'm going to just try to play with it as a 1/2 inch. So you see how just taking that triangle and making it the same width as the rectangle that you started with. You can always adjust this if you want like a larger piece out of it or if you want a smaller piece out of it. But when I looked at the sample that they had, it looked like it was a fairly flat. See if you can see it from their sample. It was a fairly flat triangle, so I decided I was going to make it similar. But if you want to do it differently, obviously you have that ability. So I find that cutting out this little triangle like this is the way to do it. So as we always have to pay attention when you're cutting, which section do you want it to keep? Do you want to keep the shaded area? Do you want to keep the unshaded area? The software will switch between times. It won't always be consistent. So as a lot of the trainers do, I look at this. I want to keep the unshaded area, which is this one, and I'm going to go ahead and cut. So now I'm left with that. I'm going to do the same thing with the pink. It's going to flatten it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to be a 2. I'm going to go ahead and do with a 0.5. And it's taking its own sweet time. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. It's keeping the unshaded area and cut, and then I can slide that on over. If I decided that was not really what I wanted to do, I can always undo it and go and decide, okay, maybe I really wanted that one to be just a little flatter. But let's say 0.3. So you have the ability to do it whichever way you want, however you want, but I think that that's a fairly easy way to do it. I think I like it at the 0.5, so. And I think when you're out looking at the entire shape, you're not going to actually be able to judge it until, is when you look at the whole page, can't really tell what it is. So that's basically that. So then I'll go into the 2-page view so you can see the 2 pages together. So here it is, it's all set up. So when you're designing the page, if you design it like this, even if you want to save it as a template, you can always do that. But this is the basis of the page and it will come together pretty easily. So whether you want to use these types of colors, switch the papers out, you can do that. So again, this was Cheryl and Kari. We were doing the This Life Simple Page Kit number 12 that Creative Memories put together. We have the instructions on our Facebook group, Consistently Creative Croppers. And if you want to download this so you can use your own paper or you want to do it digitally, we have all of the instructions and we have images there. So hopefully that will help you be able to do and assemble this page. So here again, Cheryl's table, so you can see what it looks like traditionally. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, drop a comment in the comment section. And if you do create a layout, we'd love to see it. Feel free to share it in our Facebook group, Consistently Creative Croppers. And we hope you have a great end of the year, and we will see you again next year.
Awesome. Great job, Kari. Appreciate that you do the instructions like that for us.
Thanks, Cheryl. Well, it's the best way to do it so you can do it digitally or use your own papers, right?
Exactly. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.